Greetings, you are listening to The Heartful Technologist. I am CK Hicks, and today, if you will forgive the implied crudity, I am fighting through G.A.S. Now, it's important to note that this is a little bit of a clickbait title because G.A.S here stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. It's basically the currency that all influencer marketing peddles in or maybe even preys upon. It's this desire that we have for something new, right? And this is as old as time. We have a perfect thing. We have an environment that's made for us that is working the way we expect. And then the glimmer of something new comes along and we have this desire to suddenly have it and possess it, you know? So it's not anything new, certainly nothing new to me. It's an area that I've continued to grow in over the years, and I'm continuing to grow in even in today. So this is why I'm sharing this, because I think it's something that is it's a way for all of us to consider what we actually want and how to decide what it is we're actually desiring or chasing when we feel the boy, I could get real crass here, but just, you know, when we feel the gas, let's just say that. I'll try and keep this as clean as I can. But so my context on all of this is in preparation for a 365 photography project. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's okay. It basically just means kind of what it sounds like. It's 365 photos, one per day. The idea is that you make and post a photo every day. So you try not to skip, you try not to batch. And it's really just an exercise in long discipline, in creating something and working a muscle, trying to see clearly and share something that you encounter in an intentional way every single day for a year. I have always been afraid of this because it's a big commitment, but I have said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start sometime in December and finish sometime next December. And if I just tell my children, I'm sure they'll keep me accountable. So the goal is to take or make a photo every day and share that with the world. And it's a great thing to do. And I'm very excited about it. And what I have chosen as my, I don't know what vessel on this voyage, or the implement of creativity, the tip of the spear, as it were, is a Camp Snap camera. There's a one I put on pre-order that isn't quite out yet. It's a little bit better than the cameras that they have now, which are basically these kind of, I don't want to call them toys because they're very intentional in the way they've gone about this, but the market is for someone who wants a screen-free, point-and-shoot, super simple camera that has internal memory, doesn't have any bells and whistles really. It's very mid-quality. But you know, we have one for each of our children and they're delightful. And the photos they take with those are very honest. And it still has a viewfinder. It still feels and looks like a camera. The new one even looks a little bit like our classic rangefinder. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be neat. It has a filter thread on the front. It's a fun constraint. It's different than my phone, something that feels and looks like a camera that I can carry around. And I'm looking forward to making a photo every day with that for a year. It'll be interesting to see what comes up. Now, part of the reason why I picked this camera for this, out of the many, many different ones that I have or could go get, is because it reminds me of some of the Fujifilm cameras. And I won't drop any more model numbers or specs after this, but some of the Fujifilm cameras, specifically the more recent ones, are that same thing. They're all in one package. They're very simple. They look and feel like classic cameras, and the quality is outstanding. You know, the small package and great for travel, great for everything. And I saw one today that is very difficult to get a hold of. And I saw a specific variant of it that's about 20 times the price of that Camp Snap camera. And it was, you know, full spectrum modifying, so I could shoot my color infrared stuff that I'm into. And I thought, oh man, this is perfect. Built-in ND. It has all these features, you know, on and on and on. And I started opening some tabs and looking at a couple of reviews and, you know, imagined what it would take to trade toward one of these. And this would be, I mean, using this for a 365. Now that is living, you know. Imagine when we get to summer, I'm shooting infrared and all this. And I thought, wait a minute, what am I actually experiencing here. I was definitely at the height of gear acquisition syndrome at that moment. And I thought, wait a minute, what am I feeling here? What am I actually, what is actually going on in me right now? Is it really about this camera when I was perfectly happy with, something that cost 20 times less just a moment earlier that I had planned and pre-ordered and, was intending to use? Is it really that difference? Is it really the features or is it something else? And I think gear acquisition syndrome in and of itself, when you feel that G.A.S, it's just a symptom. It is a symptom of something deeper that you need to actually push into and solve and figure out what it is you're really actually longing for in that moment. My actual issue, my actual desire in this case, is not the specs of that camera, even though they're great. It's not the different things that I could do with it, even though there are many. The point of it is that I'm feeling a desire to make photos. I'm feeling a lack. I'm bottled up, if you were, to of going out and making a photo that I could make with a simple, inexpensive camera, and probably almost just as good as the super expensive one, the premium camera. But the point is that when I even decided to pursue this 365 photo project, it was because I wanted a cure for that need to make a photo regularly, because I feel better and I am a more whole person when I am making photos. So approaching one of these, regardless of the camera that I'm using, is part of the cure for gear acquisition syndrome, because the goal is to go make photos. That is the felt need, the actual, the urge that I actually have is to go and do that. And I'm even willing to use a quote unquote toy camera if it gives me the frictionless experience of making a photo every day and still feels like using a more professional camera in the process. I'm okay with that because that's the goal. So in feeling that gear acquisition syndrome is just I'm feeling a symptom of a much deeper thing, and pushing through, closing the tabs, deleting the wish list item and all that stuff, actually going through and doing that is now part of the process of realizing what I really want from that process. And what I'm really feeling when I look at that camera, I'm thinking, I want to be using that somewhere. The specs themselves are not what are drawing me in. It's the desire to go photograph things. And I think that this sort of mindful practice right at the height of gear acquisition syndrome, when you are feeling it the most pressure, as it were, when you are attempting to maybe diagnose what the actual underlying cause might be, that is when you start asking some really cool questions. And that is when you can catch yourself before you're just acquiring more things. And maybe you don't struggle with this at all. Maybe it's just me, but when you're seeing the influencer marketing that's pulling you in, or you are, walking by something, or you whatever it might be, you're looking for a fix and you see something that catches your eye. If you stop and ask, what would I do with this? And not just could I go do it with what I have? The answer is almost always yes. But it's like, what is the thing that I'm actually wanting to do with this? And what is the goal of possessing something like this? Can I do that either with what I have or with something that I don't need to acquire in this moment? And can I start now? Can I go do this moment? And put yourself in that future state of having done that activity, regardless of what is in your hands or what's on your back or whatever it is that you're interested in at the moment. And stop thinking about acquiring the gear. Start thinking about acquiring that experience, acquiring that lesson, acquiring the adventure, right? That is the thing that we're actually longing for in that moment, not the gear. The gear is just a symptom. And so your wallet and your brain will thank you. The amount of positive dopamine you can get by going and doing something, instead of that kind of negative dopamine that we get when we feel like we've solved it, by purchasing something, or we feel like we've gone on an adventure because we watch an influencer do it. Nothing wrong with any of that system in itself until it kind of takes over us actually doing the thing and actually pursuing it for what it is that we are interested in doing it, instead of the tools or the process that would get us there along the way. So this is just one person saying, I don't have this figured out yet, but today I didn't buy a camera because I have one, and I'm hoping to make great use of it over the coming year. And if this is helpful to you, I would love to hear your stories about this and how you fight through gear acquisition syndrome and the way you combat the G.A.S, as it were. And I managed to get through this whole episode without being super crass, so I hope you appreciate that as well. Either way, I would love to hear your stories. If you have any thoughts or ways that you combat this, then podcasts@ckhicks.com is my email, and I'm always looking forward to hearing feedback from these. Until next time, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll talk to you soon.